welcome back to the I'm Uncomfortable podcast.
So what are we talking about today?
We're talking about drinking, our personal evolutions of drinking, funny anecdotes
Our drunk stories.
Yes, funny anecdotes about drinking.
You got some good drunk stories?
I mean, I do, but like I feel like I gave all my very best ones already to other podcast episodes. So I really had but I really had to sit and think about it. And I have some. They're not as storied and exciting as the others, but I have some that are like, aw, you clearly had a drinking problem. You know, I feel like that's like the through line of my stories.
I have a couple like crazy ones. I have one really like infamous one that is known pretty far and wide around these parts. It's kind of depressing though, but it's a good one. And yeah, we have some funny ones. Let's fucking do this. I have a drink, so we'll see where this podcast ends up.
I have water.
What the hell?
Yeah. It's just, I had a drinking problem.
Did you?
I mean, I didn't see it as a problem then, but like looking back.
Did you have a problem, or were you just in your early 20s problem?
No, I think I actually had a problem.
Oh.
But I mean, like, okay, it wasn't like affecting I didn't have like legal consequences from drinking. I didn't ruin relationships from drinking. It wasn't interfering in my daily life. So I wouldn't be like, oh, I was a straight up alcoholic, textbook. But like, yeah, I probably should have slowed down at some point, maybe by 25.
Do you think that if you hadn't slowed down that it would have become a problem?
No, I don't. And no? I have alcoholism in my family, but no, I don't think so. I think if a lot of times, I mean, I can't speak, I'm not painting every person with a paintbrush here, but at least for me, like I hit a point where my body was like, bitch, you can't anymore. Stop it. Like yeah. you can't hang how you fucking used to. Stop it.
Oh, for real. So. Yeah. Do you remember what age you had your first drink at?
Oh, first drink ever? Probably 12, 13.
What was it?
We had, it's either one of two occasions. There was one time at my dad's parents' house, my paternal grandparents. They had like wine coolers around, like a good old Bartles and James something or other. Mm-hmm. And then it was either that or at a Christmas Eve with my mom's family, and they were all doing apple pucker shots, like green apple pucker shots in the kitchen, and they were fucking doing the conga around the island in the kitchen. It was a wild Christmas Eve. But yeah, it was either one of those. But yeah, that was my first foray into alcohol at the ripe old age of 12, 13.
Well, and I had like a similar experience. Well, not really. Okay, whatever. When I was a kid, my grandma lived with us for a while before she passed away. She lived upstairs. We had a big room upstairs, and she was obsessed with boxed wine, like obsessed. And I remember she had a little sink in her room, like a little like kitchenette type of deal. Mm-hmm. And she would always have at least 3 boxes of wine sitting there to go at any time. And I didn't know it was wine. All I knew is that I wasn't supposed to drink it. And so whenever she left, I would like run in there. I must have been, I don't know, like 8 or 9. And I would like take a little plastic cup and I would drink it. And I thought it tasted really good and it was taboo. So I was like, oh yeah, this is my new thing.
Grandma's juice.
So I did that for a while, but I don't know how relatable this is, but I'm sure someone can relate. Did you guys did anyone ever have like that room in your house that like it was kind of unspoken that like you just weren't supposed to go in that room? Like that's a fancy room. We don't go in that room. We had, I guess you would call it like kind of a second living room. And that's where like my parents had like their music and stuff. And when people came over and like they had parties and stuff, like that's where people would hang out. And so in there, first of all, instead of any furniture, we had a vintage car that was in the living room.
What?
With Model T. Yeah, and everyone was obsessed with it. It was like a talking point. It was like a little museum in there. And on the other side, my dad built like a custom bar to mirror the Cheers bar because he loved Cheers.
What?
Hi, if you're new here, I was adopted by a bunch of wealthy assholes. I'm sorry if this isn't relatable. Anyway, so we had this massive, fully stocked bar in our living room. So by the time I got to middle school and started having friends over, I decided that I was going to be a bartender, and I would go in there and I would take a little of everything. I remember I'd make my friends a drink and I'd call it a tornado because it was a little bit of everything. I'm talking like Grand Marnier with vodka, with whiskey, with Baileys, like all mixed together into just. And then you know how it gets like gritty and coagulates at the top and starts separating.
It's got that nice brown color to it. Like, oh yeah. You don't step into drinking alcohol like raised in the 90s unless you made a fucking tornado. Like those were that's like it was like an initiation. It's like a hazing actually. But you did it
absolutely.
Yeah. My favorite part was you saying that like if this is not relatable to you, when you should say I'm sorry that this is not relatable to you.
Right, I'm sorry it's not relatable. Like here it wasn't that like super uncommon. Like all of my friends, like no matter what how they lived, it's like everyone had a liquor cabinet or like a liquor area. People had like liquor carts. A few of my friends also had bars. Maybe it was just like more of, I don't know, a Canadian thing. Like I watch Canadian or American movies and there always seems to be a bar. So I'm like, okay, well maybe it's not that out of the realm.
It's not. No, the bar isn't. Okay. The Model T in the living room is. That's a little left field for those of us who didn't grow up with wealthy adoptive parents.
It was everyone loved that fucking car, of course, because it's a car in the middle of a house, and my dad restored it all. He was really good at that, so it was like super cool. But like, it was also just fucking stupid. Like, it was just a room with a car in it and a bar on the other side. Like, it made no sense. I remember getting it into the house. I remember being really young and them trying to get it in through the sliding glass doors and being like, this is fucking stupid. So then I exacted my revenge by drinking all of their alcohol. But yeah, that's where I got all my alcohol, because they kept that place fully stocked, and they didn't drink. Like, my parents weren't drinkers. They drank on like Christmas Eve occasionally, or if we had like parties, they would drink, but it was very few and far between. So like, it was noticeable when a bottle of vodka was going missing, and they never called me on it.
That's nice. Did you guys like have parties for like just to have parties, or like was it parties for like actual occasions?
Occasions. Yeah.
Because like
I'm making it sound a lot more fun than it was. No, it was like Christmas Eve, and they'd invite all their old friends over, and I would just feed the cat shrimp. Like, that was my party.
Fair. I know. Well, you say parties, and I picture like the extravagance of like Schitt's Creek. You know, their mock like Christmas party.
Oh, no! Like, I was not that kind of wealthy.
This was very fancy.
Yeah, my dad owned a logging company. He wasn't like a TikTok star. Anyways,
really? Because I thought your dad was a TikTok star. I was almost certain.
If he was alive today, I would make him a TikTok star. It'd be so fucking funny. Anyways, so like, yeah, I don't know about you, but like the legal drinking age in Canada is 19, right? Mm-hmm. And I was kind of out of my super party phase by the time I was old enough to legally drink. Like by the time I hit 19 and could buy alcohol legally, like I was kind of partied out. Like I grew up in a small village. You know, like we'd be going to the strip clubs at 15 years old because so long as you didn't go up to the bar, they wouldn't card you. They just bring you drinks. So I never really had to like get a fake ID or get like someone to boot for me. Like there was always alcohol around me. That's probably why I was done drinking at night.
It's just immune to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I get that because the drinking age here is 21. So like, I mean, I feel like I didn't finish. I started partying early, but like I didn't do it consistently enough to where I was bored with it by the time I was legal to drink. Like, yeah. I don't know. I'd go to parties in high school and like I'd have like a few and I'd be okay. Like, and we've discussed this before when we were talking about the dynamic between my best friend and I, where it's just like, I'm just kind of like the one that's like, you guys all right? Like, is she too drunk? Okay, I got it. Like, and it's just who I am. You know what I mean? Like, I can party hard, but like most of the time I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna, I had like 4 beers. I'm just gonna have like a Coke and go to bed. Like, I'm all right. You guys want to watch a movie or something? Like, that's just...
Yeah. That was not my experience.
Yeah, fair enough. It wasn't, by the time I got to, I think I started partying harder once I got out of like high school. Once I moved to like New York, I moved to New York when I was 20. So I was like, yeah, I'm ready to like fuck shit up. Like, let's go.
Right.
So like, yeah, we got way too drunk in New York. A lot of the time. A lot of the time.
Yeah. Can you drink a lot? Like, do you have a high tolerance?
I used to. I don't. Since I had kids, I don't, because I just kind of stopped drinking. But like, I certainly while I was pregnant, but then also afterwards, just to clarify. No, yeah, I used to be able to drink too much, way too high of a tolerance. It's like real bad. Real bad. Like my friend Lydia and I used to get we'd get a whole case of like cheap beer. You'd get a whole case of Bud Light. And I mean, we would drink it together. Like just split it right in half and we drink the whole fucking thing. That's 12 beers a person. That's 12 beers. That's a lot of beer for one person. Plus whatever else, whatever hard liquor we had around.
That's so funny. So like I have like, I'm the biggest lightweight. I know like it's like a thing on Twitter or something like, oh, Nayli's just over there shooting whiskey. Like, okay, just because Nayli can doesn't mean that Nayli wasn't drunk after half of the first shot. Like if I sniff.
Just because Nayli can doesn't mean Nayli won't survive.
Well, that's the thing is like, can I do 20 shots of tequila? Absolutely. Like, was I drunk before I finished the first one? Like, it's so bad. Like, I'm not exaggerating. If I take 2 like good sips of wine, like I'm buzzed. Like it hits me immediately. Well, and it's always been like that.
It also depends on what you're drinking. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I can have. Oh, go ahead. Your epiphany. Hit
that was the point I was going to make, is that like I am like the biggest lightweight ever, but something that does not and has never gotten me drunk is fucking beer. Like I just drink beers like pops. I feel nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. It takes a lot. I mean, like once you you can tell, especially if you're drinking like a cheap beer and you're like, I don't know, 6 beers in, there's just that taste in your mouth that's just like, oh, that was too many. all right, let's have another. Like, it just, you can tell when it's coming. Like, you really have to commit to a beer. But, like, we have a very specific alcohol here in Chicago, and it's called Malort. Have you ever heard of Jepson's Malort?
No.
It is a rite of passage when you come to Chicago that we all make you drink a shot of Jepson's Malort, and it is the worst thing you will ever put in your fucking mouth. It's absolutely disgusting, and I don't know why we haze people with it, but we do. And my best friend drinks it unironically. Like, she loves it, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You are haunted.
And it's a beer?
No, it's a liquor. It's like a brown liquor. Oh. It's absolutely fucking disgusting. It's just terrible.
What is it, though? Like, is it whiskey or rum? Or?
It is like an unidentified liquor. I don't know what it... Really? Let me see what it's technically categorized as, because it's complete trash.
It's just fucking moonshine. Be real.
You know what? I would enjoy drinking moonshine. Malort is
light lightning.
Fucking disgusting. Here, let's see. I don't know what it is technically. Fair enough. Have you ever done a Irish car bombs, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's something that I don't know if my friends made this up. I think they did. I think they created this, but it's called a bear fight.
Okay.
Which is you do a Jaeger bomb. So that's... for those of you who don't know, is a Jägermeister and Red Bull. And you immediately follow it up with an Irish car bomb. Like, it's a race. They call it a bear fight, and whoever loses is the one who is also going to be throwing up later on that night.
Yeah, I was going to say, whoever loses is the one that's hugging the toilet, which is everyone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty brutal on the stomach. Like, Jaeger's already one of those liquors for me where, like, if I'm in, like, a 30-foot radius of it, I'm going to vomit. I hate it so much.
Every time you say Jaeger, and I don't know if the mic just picked it up, I get that, like, that feeling in my throat where it's, like, pre-vom, you know? It's like, Jaeger is the worst.
Oh, it's horrible. Oh,
Gen Z, don't do it. Don't.
It's not.
Don't drink Jaeger. Go Four Loko.
I got it. I think we can get Four Lokos again. They were out a lot here for a while.
I want to tell some stories. So I want you to tell me your, like, when you think of, like, iconic party, iconic drunk story, whatever that may be, what is it?
See, like, for me, I don't feel like any of mine are, like, iconic. I feel like the rest of mine are, like, embarrassing.
Well, we can go that way too, baby. Let's go.
Wait, before I do have to, I'm going to expose my mom, who now we know, like, is now listening to our podcast. I'm going to expose her because one time, I don't even remember if there was like a holiday or if it was just like a Saturday, but we were drinking. It was me and her boyfriend at the time. And I don't know why she got so drunk. I think it was just one of those nights, and we were playing Monopoly, and it was, you know how, like, Monopoly is, like, it can be fun, but it can also be, like, the longest, most arduous game you've ever played in your entire life, and you're just kind of waiting for it to end so you can go to bed.
No.
Okay, good.
I don't know that.
Anyway, we were, the game was going on very, very, very long, and my mother was getting progressively more drunk. And after a while, she first knocked over her entire beer onto the game board and flooded it with Miller Lite. And then once we cleaned it up, she decided that she was going to steal all of our money and all of our properties and that she had just simply won because she thought to steal all of our money and all of our properties. And I've never played Monopoly since because I don't think any game of Monopoly could ever surpass like watching my mom like literally steal from me and her boyfriend at the time. Like she's literally taking our money from like our little banks and just all our properties off the table, and she's just being so like 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 combative about it. Like she's like that serious, like I'm taking your shit, like I'm gonna wreck you. I'm just like, what are you doing, lady? And then I think she spent the whole next day like just in hangover. Like I remember the house being like real dark the next day because it was just she just got too drunk and stole too many people's shit.
I don't think you understand how much more I love your mother now. Fun fact about Nayli, I am obsessed with Monopoly. I cannot lose at Monopoly. In my son's closet, we have at least 40 versions of Monopoly. Derek, I mean, he's a great sport. He loves to play even though he loses. Like, I literally like cheat to help him. Like, that's how we play him. And then he like catches me and he's like, don't pity me. Let's keep going.
See, I feel like that's one of those games where like I don't care if I win or lose Monopoly. I'm just like there. I'm just like I'm just a piece. I'm just the thimble until everything like dies down.
I love Monopoly, and guaranteed that when Derek listens to this podcast, he's going to test out your mom's method next time to start taking my shit.
Watch out. That's how you lose. Kim's proven it time and time again. You just steal their shit.
Yeah. There's actually a cheater's Monopoly, which I have, where you do actually like try and steal money from the bank and try and steal properties when no one's looking.
That was
it's fun.
That was like my thing. Was like, well, that's kind of cool because that's kind of like a realistic thing. Like sometimes people take your shit. That is an interesting method to win. So, she might have been drunk, but she wasn't that far off base.
Dude, she was clearly a visionary. That was how many years ago?
At the time, yeah. It was probably like 10, 15 years ago now.
Yeah, geez. Have you ever had any, like, scary drunk moments?
Not really. I mean, like, I've had situations where, like, my cousin and I, when we were probably, I don't know, like 15 or 16, I remember we went to a concert. They used to do in the town we were from, like, they had, like, every September they would do a festival, and then they'd have like bands come and play or whatever. And we went to see like a concert, and I remember we were leaving and we were both pretty rocked, or at least I was. I don't think she was. And there was like a guy like following us. Like we lived within walking distance, but it was like maybe a mile and a half away. And like this guy was like across the street and following us like the entire way. And I was just like, every time like we would take different routes to go where we were going, and he would take that same route. And then we'd go a different way and he'd come the same way. And we're just like, okay, this is absolutely terrifying.
Oh my God.
How the fuck do we lose this guy? So we ran, I want to say that we ran like X amount of the way to try and lose him. And then I remember going in my house, and like my mom wasn't home. I don't even know where the hell she was, but I went in the house and I had 2 big dogs, and I went outside with my 2 big dogs, and I was like, motherfucker,
yeah,
I will send my dog to fucking eat you. Get away from me. Like, and things like that. Like now, if that happened to me, I'd be like, yeah, you should probably call the police. Like, instead of like stepping outside with your dogs, maybe just call the police.
That's so fucking scary though.
Scary.
Thank God I've never been in that situation before where I've been like alone at night and someone has followed me. Like I read about that kind of shit all the time, and like horrifying.
Yeah. Big time. Big time. Very scary. I don't like it. And it's scarier in like the suburbs, because like in the city you can like kind of, escape or like, you know, dip in somewhere or be around a bunch of people. Right. You know, it's like it's so much easier. But like in the suburbs, it's like, okay, there's nobody else around.
There's no businesses. There's nowhere to go. It's just kind of like a bunch of houses that are all asleep at 11 p.m. Right?
Yep. Exactly.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, it's real scary. I mentioned that this podcast is also for like our sober friends. Like, you know,
absolutely.
You know, I feel like at the end we should like, you know, talk about our favorite non-alcoholic drinks.
For sure.
I know Diet Pepsi for you, but like there's got to be some other options.
Oh, there's many. I'm a camel. Like I need to be drinking at all times.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Same. I have typically like 2 different beverages at all times. Like I like to have something to drink.
So I've never had anyone follow me home, but have you ever had anyone drug your drink?
I don't think I have.
No?
I honestly don't think I have. Because like I said, I'm that person who's like, everybody okay? So like I don't think if I did to this day, I don't know about it. But I'm usually, I mean, I had a long phase of not being that person, but I don't know. I don't set my drinks down. If I'm drinking them, I'm drinking them. You know what I mean? So, no, I haven't. Have you?
Yeah. It only happened once, thank God, because I got real diligent about it after this. But I was 17 and we were at that strip club that I was talking about that only ID'd if you went up to the bar. And we were playing pool and some guys came over and wanted to play with us. And this one guy was being really flirty with me. And I was 17. I liked the attention. So I was like kind of flirting back, but also like making it clear like where my boundaries were. And he wanted us to go to an after party with him. And I was like, no, I just want to kind of like just hang out and play pool with the girls and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, okay, well, can we play with you? And I'm like, yeah. And so we were having a good time. He kept buying us drinks. And then I started to feel real fucked up. And I decided I was going to get on the pole. And I got up on the stage and I was swinging around the pole and I like started taking things off. And then the manager came out and was like, get down from there. You're not allowed up there. You're going to need to get the fuck out of here and blah, blah, blah. And I remember my girlfriends being like, that was really out of character. And then before we left the club, I was like, can I please use the bathroom? I don't feel well. And the guy was like, yeah, make it quick. I went in the bathroom. And the second I walked into the bathroom, I didn't even make it to the toilet. I just started puking in the garbage can. And then I blacked out. I remember nothing except I remember pulling into my driveway. I don't even know how we got home. I know my mom didn't pick us up, so I assume it was a cab. But I remember opening the door. It was raining and falling out of the car into the grass. And then I remember my mom running outside and grabbing me. I was with my 2 girlfriends and they came in and they were telling my mom what happened. Like, we don't know what's wrong with her. Like, she didn't even drink that much. Like, she's never like this. She's a good drunk and blah, blah, blah. And I remember none of this is all just hearsay. And my mom put me in my bed. And then I remember being slightly aware of her screaming at my girlfriends who were staying in the guest bedroom. They were like, I don't know what it was about, but the gist that they told me was that like they were, my mom was upset that like no one took better care of me. Like it's their job, right? And they already feel shitty. And so she was really upset. And I remember she slept in my bed with me that night because she was afraid that I was going to puke and choke on my vomit. And so, yeah.
Have you ever thrown up in your sleep though?
No.
I have. A lot.
What?
Yeah. I don't know why that happens. I think I pass out before like because we've talked about, I think it's on the Lost Levels podcast, but like, that I have like a severe like phobia about vomiting.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I can't do it. Even when I'm drunk, like I had a small period when I was like 19 where like I could barf and rally and then like get back to drinking. But like, it was very short lived. But I've done it so many times. So I think I forced myself to pass out before like my body's ready to like settle.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I definitely have thrown up in my sleep. At my high school graduation party, I drank way too many Coronas. I don't know why I was drinking Corona. And I don't know why I was so drunk. I do remember going to the park in my subdivision, and it was like 1 a.m. And for whatever reason, I wasn't wearing pants. I don't know. It was a really messy time. And then I woke up and I was vomiting, like just vomiting while I was asleep. And then I did it again. Another time I don't remember, but the last time I remember doing that was at my best friend's bachelorette party. And you want to know why I did that? Because I had that fucking Jepson's Malort. And it fucked me up. And then I went to bed. I was like, I felt like okay, but it was the first time I had been drinking in a while. And we went bar hopping in Chicago, and it was just like old times, you know. And I hadn't had like a real drink in probably 3 years. But I just continued to drink like I used to. I was like, oh, yeah, I'll have this. Yeah, okay, sure. I'll drink literally anything. But when we got back to her house, I felt totally fine. I was like, I feel fine. I'm not even drunk. Like, I have a nice buzz. And I stayed up with her husband. And he, you know, she went to pass out. And he and I were hanging out and drinking. And we were getting ready for bed. And he gives me an edible to like knock out, and I was like, cool, dude, sounds good. And oh yeah, I fell asleep in their basement, and I woke up vomiting in their basement, and I was like, oh no,
obviously.
Yeah,
no,
yeah, that didn't work out for me. Yeah, so I've definitely done that. I haven't died doing it yet though, so that's good.
I have a funny throw up story.
Okay.
So we have one like nightclub in my little town. So we went out Friday night. I think this was when I was old enough to drink. So I would, yeah. Okay, I was 20. So we were out at the bar. My friends wanted to go to the club. I was never like a club girl ever. Like
Me either.
I don't want to like yell at you, like, because I always feel like it goes the same way. Again, it's not like the fucking movies. You don't walk into a club and like, ooh, everyone's sexy and sophisticated. Everyone's dancing, blah, blah. No, when you go to a club in a small town, you get all whored up with your girlfriends and you go and you find a couch where all of you can sit, and then you sit there and drink and scream, yell until your song comes on. Then you got to go dance for one song, and then you're like, oh, it's enough, and you go back and sit down. Like, that's clubbing here.
We had like teenage clubs. Like there was a teenage club here that we used to go to when we were like 15 and 16 and shit. Like, because you could only go, and like you had to be like, I think it was like, it might have been like 14 to 18. Like, you had to be those ages.
Yeah.
And we used to go there, and like, it was like, you know, like that remix of like Every Time We Touch just played for like 2 hours. And like everyone was dressed like a fucking whore. And like, they had foam parties and all kinds of crazy
we had
shit.
foam.
Yeah, and I got in a fight there on New Year's Eve and punched a girl in the face. It was really good. So, yeah.
So we were there, and like, again, like, it was just like stupid 20-year-old shit. Like, I was drinking, and like, I found a girl I liked, and I was like trying to, like, I was flirting with her all night, and I was trying to like impress her, and like, she wanted to dance. So we'd dance, and she wanted to do shots, and like, this is my own hang up, okay? I want to shoot the whiskey and like nothing off my brow and like, come on, babe, let's go. Like, that's my whole vibe.
Same.
And so, and so I was trying to hang because I was like, this girl can fucking put them away, and I don't want to look like I can't. So I just kept shooting. And she wanted to do tequila, and I'm not a fucking tequila person.
I love tequila.
Oh, I hate it. It was the good shit, to be fair. It was that kind of tequila where you drink it and like it doesn't burn. You know, it's just very smooth, and you're like, oh, is that a little almond in there? Ooh,
yeah,
you know,
that's the good shit right there. That's my drink of choice.
And so I was about 10 shots in. And to this day, I don't understand how it happened because there were no witnesses and like no repercussions. It was like, I know you're not a gamer, but it was like, guys, if you were like playing a video game and you were standing in front of an NPC and you did something fucking ridiculous, but like nothing changes around you, that's what it was like. So I remember I walked up to the bar, I stumbled, and I looked at the bartender and I was like, hi, I need 2 more shots of tequila. And he was like, okay. And I was just standing there doing nothing. There was no smartphone. So I was just like staring ahead at the liquor bottles at the back of the bar, and then just projectile vomited. Just right there. I was just standing there. I just projectile vomited. I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my God. And I looked around. I looked beside me. I looked at the bartender. I looked everywhere. No one saw it. No one. Okay. So I was just like, oh my God. And so I just like fucking moved out of the way and like made a beeline to the bathroom. Went to the bathroom, went to the stall, started like doing my best to like clean up. But I was fucking drunk, so I didn't get everything. I remember I went out the bathroom. My best friend Kristen was there. Hey, Kristen. And and she like looked at me and she was like, dude, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fucking fire. And she was like, did you get highlights? And I was like, and I was like, no, like, why do you ask? And she like took my hair in her fingers and like ran her fingers through my hair and took her hand and was like, oh my fucking God. And she was like, did you throw up in there? And I was like, no, but funny story. I was standing at the bar and she's like, we need to leave. And so she took me out to the car, and the girl that I was like wanting to hook up with was in the car too. And she was like, oh my gosh, where'd you go? Like, are you okay? And I went and sat, and I remember I sat beside her, and then Kristen came and sat beside me. And she was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And she was quiet for a minute. And then she was just like, oh my God, like something stinks so bad. And Kristen, like ever the cock block, was just like, yeah, you're sitting next to it, babe.
That's what best friends are for.
Yeah. And again, to this day, I do not know how it happened because I keep trying to play it out in my mind. Like, how did because it was like, it was everywhere. It was all over me. It wasn't like I just like threw up in my mouth a little bit and that's why no one noticed. Like, it was projectile, but like no one noticed. And I managed to walk out of there like, and yeah, it was fucking crazy. I can't explain it, but it was horrible.
Did the bartender charge you for the shots though?
No, because I walked away and like I didn't even look back at the bar before I walked out, but I'm sure he was just like, whatever. Also, like anyone would have come along and been like, yeah, those are my tequila shots. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I paid for them.
Well, hopefully they made someone else's night.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Like pay it forward and whatnot. Projectile it forward.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was me at my brother's wedding. Like I have like a very, very vague memory of my half brother's wedding, which was like, oh, what a sweet ceremony. And then like it's like a flash to like sitting at the reception table with my cousin and starting to drink gin. And then I'm like, I'm having such a good time. And then I remember like talking to his mom and being like, that's so nice that they got married. And then it's like flash to my brother and I eating cheeseburgers and being like, our dad doesn't love us. And then, and then like all of a sudden it's a flash to like, I woke up in a fucking cornfield face down in my own vomit. And I was like, what the fuck happened? Like it was like the Hangover. It was like I fucking blacked out. I literally went from eating a cheeseburger with my brother, literally crying about how our father doesn't love us, and then I woke up in a field. And my cousin's like, dude, we need to get home. You should probably get up. And I'm like, well, how the fuck did I get here?
What?
I have no idea.
Did he not like piece together that did he not hang over the night for you?
He wasn't. I mean, it was his wedding. Like he was doing wedding things. Like I don't remember what happened after that. I just blacked out. I was just blackout drunk.
Oh, you were alone.
Yeah, well, I went to the wedding with my cousin, so she was around me, I assume. But the thing I remember was waking up in the cornfield and her going like, "Hey, we should probably leave." Like she was already in her car. I was like,
but she was in the cornfield with you.
Yeah.
So she didn't piece together the night.
No, I'm sure she did, but like I never asked. I was just like, okay, I guess I blacked out. Yeah, so, I don't know. It's not the first time that's happened to me. I have definitely like blacked out and like woken up places. I'm telling you, I had a drinking problem. Well, they had I probably should have set the scene a little better because they had their wedding was outside like on a farm. Okay. So like it wasn't just like they were in this beautiful reception hall and then I ended up in a cornfield. I guess context kind of matters there, but yeah. Yeah, I was like, I didn't even know where I had vomited, but like I could smell it on me, and I was like, oh, I definitely barfed at some point. When? Don't know. Don't know.
Listen, can you please reach out to your cousin because I need to know this full story desperately. This is like a movie. This is like watching the first 20 minutes of The Hangover and then being like, no, you can never watch the end.
Well, it's like watching the first 20 minutes of The Hangover and then like you realize like it was probably a really boring thing anyway. Like the blackout portion was probably nothing interesting.
No way.
I could, knowing myself the way I do, I probably got tired and I was like, I'm just gonna lay down just to be like an asshole. And then I actually just like passed out. That would be my guess. Okay. All right. Here you go. Okay. My other cousin's graduation party, right? It's her high school graduation, her college graduation. I don't know. I don't fucking remember. Mm-hmm. Anyway, her parents are wealthy. They have a nice bar in their home.
They have a Model T in their living room?
They don't. They have a Peloton.
Oh, I want a Peloton. I do too. Dude, does anyone else want a Peloton just so they can work out with that like viral like Britney stan who's like the sassy gay guy who's always like he's so bitchy in his workouts? Like I just want to work out with him every day.
I'm game. That sounds great. Mm-hmm. If I had the money to buy a Peloton, I definitely would. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we were all drinking, they did like a signature cocktail or something. And I'm like, sounds good. I'll have 30. Just drinking with my cousin. And like, she's 4 years younger than me, but like she was like my little sister. We were very close. And like, I knew some of her friends pretty well. And I just remember getting like more and more drunk throughout the course of the night and just like again little snippets. Like I remember stealing liquor from the bar. I remember like talking to my cousin's friends and being like, oh yeah, you're so and so, how have you been? And then it's like they reminded me that like at one point when I blacked out, I was trying to chase the moon and I was literally running full force along a soccer field trying to catch the moon. And I was like trying to recruit her friends to join me. Like I was embarrassing, like real embarrassing. And I remember my mom.
Sounds great.
My mom calling me over and being like, you need to fucking chill out. Like she had her mom voice on, I'm like 24 and she's like, you need to fucking knock it off. She's like, you are out of fucking control. And I'm like, I'm kneeling down next to her while she's telling me this. And I'm literally falling over. Like I had cuts and bruises like all over myself, just trying to stay stable so I could listen to her. So anyway, I'm like, for whatever reason in the yard. And like, I am again, face down in the grass. I was just being funny. Like, I was just goofing around. And then, like, there's just something about planting yourself somewhere. And I'm like, I'm just going to lay here for a little bit. And I remember hearing my mom come up behind me and she's like, you need to get up. You are scaring the kids. They all think you're dead. I was so drunk. And that was the point where she's like, yeah, we're going to fucking leave because you are like out of control drunk. And I remember waking up the next morning and being like, oh no. Like, it was just that feeling of immediate dread. And I was still crashing. I was crashing with my mom at the time. And I remember, like, I don't even want to leave this room. I know she's going to fucking punch me in the face when I leave this room. I'm in my 20s and I'm going to be in so much trouble.
I literally just laughed my fucking headphones off at, you're scaring the children.
It's literally what she said. They all think you're dead. You're scaring them.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like really fun to get drunk with if you like bad times and not knowing what happened.
Dude, So like, here's the thing about me is that, like, I'm a chill person. Like, I'm a chill drunk too, but I also love chaos, right? So those friends that fucking went off the rails and went buck wild, those were my favorite fucking friends. I remember we used to get drunk behind, it was like this sports center, and they'd have like tennis courts. And I had this one girlfriend, she's fucking crazy. And like, if you gave her one shot of alcohol, like, she was the most obnoxious fucking drunk you've ever seen. But like, I loved her. Like, she was hilarious. Like, she was just having a fun fucking time. And we were hanging out in the tennis court. We were just sitting there chilling, drinking, probably smoking a bit of weed. And
unheard of.
These, like, they had to be like late 30s. And at the time, we were probably like 17. So like, they were like late 30s, fucking grown ass men, like walking home, like very respectable, having like a pleasant conversation. She's like, hey, do you want to play tennis with me?
Oh no, that's me.
And like, so they came over. And she was like, okay, like, we don't have any rackets, so we just have to pretend. And we're like, oh my God, Andrea, what are you doing right now? And I'm just like pulling up a seat right in front. I'm like at the half point so I can like call the points. And I'm like, let's go, let's do this. And so they go over to the other side and they're like, wait, you really don't have any rackets? And she's like, no, it's okay. And I can take you on as a double. I'm good at this. And so they're like sitting there. She's like, all right, so your racket's here. She's like holding out her hand with nothing. And she's like, this is your racket. And they're like, they like make like awkward fists. And then they're like, these are our rackets? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, hey, you serve it. And so like they like mime serving the ball. And she is fucking rounding that court like she's Sonic the Hedgehog. Like just bing, bing, bing. And they're just like standing there like casually like bumping their fists in the air. She's like fucking somersaulting. She's Jack Bowering across that court. Like she's
my God.
And my friends they're mortified and I am dying. Like it's the funniest fucking thing ever. Like I'm not exaggerating. That is what happened. Just two awkward 30-year-old men like holding their fists up being like ting, and her like whoosh, like fucking somersaulting like, yeah, that's a point. And I'm like, 30 love. It was great.
That's incredible. But I want to be friends with Andrea.
Right? I love those friends. Because if you're not that friend and you're not worried about getting in trouble or getting into like those shitty situations, then it's all entertainment. And like, I had the best time. Andrea killed it. She beat that game was not even close. She destroyed them.
See, that's definitely me when I'm drunk, where I'm just like, I'm like such an asshole, not like an asshole like in a rude way, but like an asshole, and like I'll just like say anything to anyone, and like I'm just I do the dumbest shit. Like I said, like I'll just like lay in the grass and take a nap. Like, okay, this seems like a fun thing to do right now. I'm gonna fucking do this.
We are gonna chase the moon. We're gonna have so much fucking fun in Vegas because I'm not that friend, but I will encourage you so heavily.
I have to do some liver stretches before we go to Vegas because I don't want to blow it all and be like I don't want to end up like my best friend's bachelorette party. You know what I'm saying?
Audie will be like, say, Jack, I think you had enough. And I'll be like, Audie, maybe don't police her. She's a grown woman away from her kids. Can we get 6 shots over here just for her? Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Audie would never. Come on. Audie would never. Okay, so here's something that I find interesting about like being drunk, and it's something I like to call the plans phase. Like I wonder if anyone else does this, where like you get drunk with like, I don't know, a close friend or a friend you haven't seen in a while or a family member, and you're like, you come up with a plan. We're gonna hang out more. Oh man, we're gonna do this together. Oh, you know what we should do? We should do X, Y, and Z. And then you're both like completely on board, like with no chance in hell of any of this shit ever happening, right?
Yeah.
So my best friend and I did this a lot, especially when we lived together. We moved in together. We were like 22 and we lived together till we were like 24. And one time we were watching a lot of Across the Universe, if that says anything about our activities at the time. We used to get up and we lived together. We lost our jobs at the same time. So we'd get up in the morning and get high and play Uno. So like, that's where we were at.
Love it. And I still love Across the Universe.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, I wasn't knocking Across the Universe.
Okay.
It's a fucking masterpiece.
Love it.
But we decided that we were going to create, like high and drunk, we decided we were going to create this plan for like a socio-economic societal revolution. Right? We're going to fucking change the world. Like this is how peace happens. And we wrote out our entire plan in crayon on our apartment walls. I don't know if you know this, but you probably shouldn't write on walls with crayon that are, especially not when they're, not your walls. Oh, and it never happened. So, I mean, we had much smaller plans, but none of them involved crayon on the wall. So that was intense.
Did you end up removing it, or was it just there as like a horrible reminder every day of how unmotivated you guys are?
Yeah, it was just there. It was just like the thing we walked by and we're like, hey, remember the night we did that? It was just like, okay, that's there. And I moved out before her, so I assume that was still there when we never got our security deposit back on that apartment.
Obviously.
That was a tragedy.
I totally know what you mean about the plans that, like, listen, this has to be relatable. I cannot tell you how many times I have made a best friend in the bathroom of a party. Mm-hmm. Fuck him, Stephanie. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna drive up the coast. We're gonna go on a trip. We're going to make things happen. We're going to start jamming. Do you want to can, Stephanie? Because we're going to start canning salmon. We're going to can jam. We're going to can peach. We're going to open a boutique. We're going to be at the farmer's market every Sunday. And then the next morning I wake up and who's Stephanie? Like, what?
Stephanie who? Yep, 100%. That's for me and my best friend. We don't see each other very often. I mean, we live maybe 15 miles away from each other, but like we always do that. I'm gonna see. Oh my god, we're gonna do this more often. Like we have to. Like, oh my god, you know what? Even if it's like just like once a month, like we need to start doing this like more often. Like we need to like start prioritizing ourselves and like see each other like more than like 2 times a year. Like we're gonna start doing this. Like we're doing it. Yeah, that's it. We're doing it. And then it's just like, we don't do it. I haven't seen her since We went to Alanis Morissette in September. That was the last time I saw her.
Yeah, that happens though as you get older. Like I moved away from my very best friend, like, I don't know, 5 years ago now. Or no, more than that, like 7 years ago. But when we lived in the same city, but it was such a hassle. Like, if anyone has, any Canadians listening, lives or has been to Fort McMurray, you understand that your BFF living 5 minutes away means that they live an hour and 5 minutes away. And, like, we couldn't do it. Like, we seldom saw it. Like, we talked constantly. We were on FaceTime constantly, but like we actually interacted so little.
Yeah, we have plans with each other all the time. It's just like the way we do things. We'll have a plan set in stone and we'll both go like, okay, are you sure we're going to do it this time? And we'll both be like, yeah, okay, absolutely. Day comes, we've both forgotten about it, or we're like, you know what, I can't, or, like, it's just how it is. And we've been best friends since we were 8. I mean, we've been best friends for almost 30. Oh my God. We've been best friends for almost 30 years. That makes me want to barf. Holy shit.
But you know what? Those friends are the fucking best though, because like, listen, there are times like we don't live near each other anymore and we don't talk all that often anymore. Maybe like, we can go a month without saying a word to each other. But every single time we get on a call or we text or whatever, nothing is different. We are same. It's right. Like those that's how you know how that friendship is different and that friendship is solid. Like we understand each other. Like I haven't talked to her right now in a month and she could text me right now and be like, oh my God, you'll never guess what happened. I would drop everything to hear about what happened. You know,
same.
Like,
we even had we had a falling out right after I moved out of our apartments. We had like a small falling out. We didn't talk for, I think it was like 2 years almost. And when we did, like, we had like a moment of like, okay, let's fix this. And then it was just the same thing. It was just like picking right up where we left off. Yeah. She's like my soulmate. Like, I think I believe in soulmates, but I don't think they all are romantic. And she is my soulmate. She's my soul. Like, nobody knows her better than I do. Nobody knows me better than she does. Like, it's just, we're just connected at the soul.
Yeah. Those are the best friendships. I love that.
They are. They're great. I have like a varying amount of things in my stories, like theme-wise, like injuries.
Oh,
like drunken injuries. I've had some bangers, literally and figuratively.
All right, let's go.
I don't remember if I told it on what podcast, but I definitely broke my foot. One time.
Oh, right. Yeah. That was on the Flasher podcast.
Oh, okay. So it did. Yeah. That one made it to air. So that's good. Yeah. So, definitely fell in a ditch and broke my foot into fucking pieces. But one of my favorites was my friends and I went to a real, I was going to say trashy bar, but it's more just like kind of like a dive bar.
I love dive bar.
Oh, I only love a dive bar.
Yeah, dive bars are the only bars I want to fucking go to.
Absolutely. So we went to this, they did dollar drafts on Mondays. So we'd all go for dollar drafts. And everybody remembers this story a lot differently than it happened. But I was very much sober, but I was drinking. Okay, I wouldn't say very much sober. I was sober enough to know that this is how the story went. Like, I wasn't hammered. So we're all drinking. They would bring them out like in trays in like these like plastic Dixie cups. And so you'd have like your drafts, the whole tray of drafts, and we'd all just drink. And me and my best friend went to the bathroom, as you do. And I went to pee. And then I got up from peeing and I wanted to fix I was wearing boots at the time and I wanted to fix the laces on my boot. So I lifted up my leg onto the put my foot on the toilet seat. Sorry, that's not sanitary for whoever got it next. But I was, drinking in like 22 and I didn't give a shit. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to fix the lace and I lean against the door and it falls all the way the fuck through. It was one of those like latches, but for whatever reason, the latch didn't latch all the way. Like it was just capable of latching all the way. And I like Chris Farley'd my ass like all the way through that door. And I hit my, I wish I could have seen it from the other side. But my whole arm, the whole under my bicep went all along that lock where it adheres. And I had a bruise that was probably 6 or 7 inches long all along my arm. And it was disgusting. If I can find the photo, I will.
Oh my God, do it.
And, but all my friends thought that I was like fucking hammered and I just like purposefully Chris Farley'd my way through the door. And I was literally just trying to fix my shoe. And I'm like, what the fuck? This kind of thing would only happen to me. And of course, because you're at a bar, there's the whole bathroom is full of girls like waiting for a bathroom stall. And all I remember doing was getting up and being like, bitch, just make sure that one locks. Cause obviously it's not staying very well. So. And I left in a blaze of glory and I never went back for dollar drafts because that was a lot.
I just thought of, okay, this is probably the most like embarrassing. We must have been about 15. And this was the same girl, the house party girl, Amanda. We walked down to the club, and this is before we had ever been to that club. And they had like those boards, where you stick the letters up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm going to steal one of those letters. And she was like, do it. So I did. And I stole the letter L out of Special. And we were drinking again a Mickey a fucking Fireball. And we were like, all right, let's walk home now that we've thefted. And we were like, what we should do? We should write a song about this. And I was like, that's absolutely what we should do. And so we started narrating our entire walk home and made a song. And it is a very long song. I remember every word. And we walked all the way home. We wrote a song about everything that happened, everything that we saw. And we immediately, still just chugging Fireball, went into her house, sat down on her computer, wrote out the entire song, which was, I believe, about 3 pages on the printer. And we made about 30 copies, stapled them together, autographed them, and then gave them to our friends at school the next day.
Wow.
Yeah. And it wasn't a good song.
Really? I would have imagined it was a masterpiece.
I'll throw you a couple of verses right now, okay? So this is how it starts, okay? Okay, it goes... It goes, just stole the L and nearly fell, pulling Mandy up the hill so she don't become roadkill.
Wow.
Stole the L and nearly fell, laying in the road, looking at the stars, listening to the toads. Shit, here comes some cars. Cause stole the L and nearly fell. And then it goes on like that for, I'm not joking, at least 10 minutes. It's the most embarrassing thing I've ever fucking done. I still can't believe I agreed to it sober the next day. Like, yeah, let's give these to our friends.
That's hilarious.
However,
on so many levels.
We gave them to about 30 friends, and at least 10 of them still have their copies, and 10 of them still have their copies and have kept it because they're like, this is everything.
I mean, honestly, it's not that bad. I mean, I was getting into it for a minute there, so
it gets progressively worse. Also, please no one take that as a example of my vocal prowess. Yeah, that's a good one. Great. I love that. That's like one of my favorite drunk memories. Like, we had so much fucking fun. I miss those days when you're just walking around like an idiot with your friends and just, fuck.
How carefree that is. Like, even if you're like afraid of getting caught doing something stupid, like, it's still like there's a carefree, like a joie de vivre about it that it's just so like unattainable as a middle-aged person.
Right?
If you get arrested for doing something like that in your 30s, like, that's just embarrassing. But if you do it like in your early 20s or like your teens, it's like, I got arrested for being an asshole at the park or whatever, you know.
Have you ever been thrown in the drunk tank?
I haven't, no. Surprisingly.
Next time on I'm Uncomfortable.
I literally assaulted a cop.
I just remember looking up at him with like a glare of death, and I was like, I've had a few.
At the time, I didn't know that he was dating someone, but he was in a very public relationship with an actress.